Welcome to i-TUTOR Economics NCERT series. Today we are going to deal with Chapter 7, Employment, Growth, Informalization and Other Issues. Can you tell me what kinds of work people around you do? Yes, people in India do many different kinds of work. Some work in factories, some in banks, shops and many other workplaces. And some even work from their own home. Okay, earlier people mostly thought work means going out to a field or factory or an office. But now many people also work from home. You know that traditional home-based work includes weaving, lace making or variety of handicrafts, potteries and so on. Modern home-based work includes computer-based jobs like coding or programming, online businesses or freelancing, etc. Earlier, if someone worked in a factory, it usually means working in a big building located in a city. But today, technology has made it possible for people to do factory type work even from villages or small towns. For example, some companies send raw materials like cloth or thread to village homes. People, they make finished products like garments or embroidery from their own home, and the finished goods are then collected and sold in big cities or even exported abroad. So, work today is not limited to offices or factories. It has become more flexible. People can work from homes, villages, and even through their computers. This is one way how employment patterns in India are changing. Now, let's think about a simple question. Why do people work? Do we all work only for money? Or is there something more? What are some reasons people work apart from earning money? Okay, let me explain. People work mainly to earn a living. That means to buy good food, clothes, shelter and other necessities. But there is more to it than just money. Even those who have money, maybe inherited wealth or property, so they also feel the need to do something meaningful. Just having money doesn't give satisfaction. So let me explain you two concepts. The relationship between work and self-worth, and also the relationship between responsibility and work. So let me explain you first the relationship between work and self-worth. When we work, it gives us a sense of self-worth. That means we feel we are useful, capable and contributing something. It also helps us connect with others like our colleagues, customers, students or community. Every working person contributes to our national income through their work. This means when you work, you are helping the country grow. That's what we call the real meaning of earning a living. So that is the relationship between work and self-worth. So now let me explain you the relation between work and responsibility. We don't work only for ourselves. We also work for our family members or others who depend on us like parents, children or community. That gives us a sense of accomplishment and purpose. So that is the relationship between work and responsibility. Now let's look at Gandhiji or Mahatma Gandhi's view. Mahatma Gandhi strongly believed that education must include some kind of productive work like craft, agriculture or handwork. He felt that working with our hands developed dignity of labor, self-reliance and practical skills. So if you think again, why do people work? Is it only to earn money or also to feel valued, responsible and connected to society? Yes, we not only work for money, we are also working to earn money and also feel valued, responsible and connected to society. Now, we will see why is it important to study about working people, those who are engaged in different types of jobs and professionals in our country. When we study about working people who works, where they work and what kind of work they do, we get to understand the quality and nature of employment in our country or employment in India. It tells us, are most people getting regular jobs or temporary jobs? Are they working in organized sectors or unorganized sectors? This helps the government and planners make better decisions about education, skill training, job creation, and so on. That's what we mean by planning our human resources. So, by studying employment patterns, we can also find out how much different industries and sectors contribute to national income. How much the agriculture sector contributes, how much the manufacturing sector contributes, and how much the service sector contributes. This helps in identifying which sector need more support or improvement. So, employment study also help us understand and solve social problems like exploitation of marginalized section like poor workers, women or lower caste, then child labor, like low wages and unsafe working conditions, etc. By knowing these realities, policies can be made to protect and uplift those groups. So, by studying about working people, what do we actually learn? Only about jobs or also about our society and economy as a whole? Okay, please think it. Now let's understand two important questions. What is employment and who are workers? We often see people engaged in different kinds of work. Farmers in fields, then weavers in mills, truck drivers on highways, and so on. But how do we connect all of them to our economy? Let's see. When a farmer works in the field and produces food grains or cotton, he or she is producing goods that others can use. That cotton then goes to a textile mill. Where it becomes cloth. This means factory workers are also adding value through their work. Next, lorries or truck transport these goods from one place to another. Again, this is a part of the process of production and distribution. So, whether it's a farmer, a factory worker or a driver, each one contributes to the production of goods and services in our country. And this together is what we call employment. People engage in productive activities that contribute to the national income. Now let's look at GDP. Imagine adding up the money value of everything produced in India in a year. All the foods, then clothes, vehicles, machines and services like banking, transport, education and so on. So that total value is called our GDP or gross domestic product. It tells us how much our country has produced in 1 year. So, but wait, India also trades with other countries, right? We export some goods and import some goods. Export means we sell to other countries. Import means we buy from other countries. So, when we include this foreign trade balance, that means if export is greater than import, our country earns more. That is called positive earning. And if import is greater than export, we lose money. And it is called negative earning. Okay, if export is equal to import, it is called neutral. It's neutral. That means there is no gain or loss. So remember that point very clearly. We consider what we pay for our imports and get from our exports. We find that there is a net earning for the country which may be positive. Positive means export is greater than imports. Then it may be negative. Negative means import is greater than export, or it is zero. Zero means neutral, that is export is equal to imports. Okay. Now, when we add this net earning or loss from foreign trade to our GDP, we get the GNP. GNP means gross national product. So, there is a difference between GDP and GNP. GDP means total production inside the country, and GNP means GDP plus net factor income from abroad, that means NFIA or net income from abroad. So GDP is the total production inside the country and GNP is equal to GDP plus net factor income from abroad. So next time when you see a farmer, driver or a weaver at work, remember each of them is helping to build our economy's GDP. And that's why studying workers and employment is so important. Okay. Now that we know what GDP and GNP are, let's understand who actually contributes to them. That means who are the workers in our economy. So what is meant by economic activities? All the activities that produce goods or services and add to the country's income are called economic activities. What is meant by economic activity? All the activities that produce goods or services and add to the country's income are called economic activities. For example, a farmer growing crops, a teacher teaching in a school, a shopkeeper selling goods, a factory worker producing machines, and so on. All these people are doing work that contributes to our GNP or gross national product. Okay, so who is a worker? Anyone engaged in economic activity, whether in a big company or in a small shop, whether doing manual labor or office work, is called a worker. Who is a worker? Yes, anyone engaged in an economic activity, whether in a big company or a small shop, whether doing manual labor or office work is called a worker. It doesn't matter if the work is high or low, paid or unpaid, temporary or permanent. If it adds value to production, that person is a worker. If it adds value to the production, that employer is a worker. Okay, even if a person is not working for a few days because of illness, injury, bad weather, festivals or social or religious functions, they are still considered workers because their usual activity is economic work. Okay, sometimes family members help in the family's work, right? For example, a farmer's wife helping in the field or a child assisting in a family shop. Even if they don't get a salary, they are also workers because they contribute to production. Many people think only those who get a salary or wage are workers. Is it true? No, that's not true. Those who are self-employed, like a small shop owner or tailor, carpenter or street vendor, are also workers because they earn by working for themselves. So anyone, whether employed by other or self-employed, who contributes to the production of goods and services in the economy is a worker. The real test is whether their work adds to the national income or not. So that's all about this GNP and worker. Now that we know who a worker is, let's look at how people work in India, what kind of employment they have and how it differs for men and women. So employment in India is multifaceted. The word multifaceted means many-sided. That means the nature of employment in India is not uniform. Some people have work throughout the year, like teachers or factory employees. Others get work only for a few months, like agricultural laborers who work only during sowing or harvesting season. And some are underemployed. Some are underemployed or not paid fairly. That means they work hard but still don't earn enough. So India's employment is multifaceted. Now, what about India's workforce size? In 1999 to 2000, India had about 400 million workers. People engaged in economic activities are called workers. So in 1999 to 2000, India had 400 million workers. Since the majority of Indians live in rural areas, about three-fourth, that means 75% of workforce belongs to rural India. About 75% belongs to rural India. That means most of our workers are farmers or agricultural laborers. What about gender composition of workforce? Yes, about 70% of workers are men and just 30% are women. In rural areas, women form 1/3 of total workforce. In rural area, women form 1/3 of workforce. In urban area, women form only 1/5 of total workforce. So clearly, men dominate the employment structure in both rural and urban areas. Now, what about women's unpaid work? Women in villages do a lot of work like cooking, fetching water, collecting firewood and helping in farm activities. But here's the problem. They often don't get paid, not even in cash or greens. Sometimes their work is not even recognized as employment. Economists argue that these women must also be considered workers because they contribute equally to the household and rural economy. So, in short, employment in India has many forms. Full-time employment are there, part-time, seasonal, paid, unpaid, etc. And still millions, especially women, remain undervalued and uncounted in the workforce. Understanding this helps us plan better policies for fair employment. Now that we have understood who workers are and how they are distributed, let's see how many people actually work in our economy or in our country. To measure this, economists use a simple but very powerful concept called worker population ratio. What is that? Worker population ratio. What is called worker population ratio? The worker population ratio or WPR, worker population ratio is an indicator used to understand the employment situation in a country. It tells us what proportion of the total population is actively working and contributing to the production of goods and services. In simple words, it shows how many out of every 100 people are working. So, what does this ratio indicate? If the ratio is high, it means more people are engaged in work. That's a sign of higher employment. If the ratio is medium or low, it means fewer people are working and a large portion of the population is dependent or not directly involved in production. So, please understand that fact. If WPR ratio is high, it means more people are engaged in work and it is a sign of higher employment. And if WPR ratio is medium or low, it means fewer people are working and a large portion of the population is dependent or not directly involved in production. Now let's understand the population. We already know what population means. It is the total number of people who live in a particular place at a particular time. Population means total number of people who reside in a particular locality at a particular point of time. Now, to find out how many among them are actually working, we calculate WPR. So, what is the formula of worker population ratio or WPR? Let's see how to calculate it. WPR is equal to worker population ratio for India divides the total number of workers in India by the population in India multiplied it by 100. Workers in the country divided by total population into 100. So, WPR, worker population ratio, is equal to workers in the country divided by total population multiplied by 100. For example, if India has 400 million workers and a population of 1000 million, then how can we calculate this WPR? 400 divided by 1000 into 100. That means 40%. So, the worker population ratio helps us understand how active our population is in the economy. A higher ratio means more people are working and creating value, while a lower ratio means more dependence and less participation in the productive activities. Now that we know what the worker population ratio means, let's see how it actually looks in India. The ratio tells us how many people are working out of every 100 in our population. So, for every 100 persons, about 40 people are working in India. That means the worker population ratio is around 39.5%, rounded to 40%. But this ratio is not the same everywhere. In rural areas, about 42% or 42 out of 100 people work. In urban areas, 34 out of 100 people work. Why is there a difference between rural and urban areas? Let's understand the difference step by step. In rural areas, people here have limited resources to earn income. Most families depended on agriculture and daily wage work, which require more hands. Many people do not attend schools or colleges, or they drop out early to start earning for the family. Because of their economic condition, they cannot afford to stay at home without working. So, more people participate in work. That's why the WPR is higher in rural areas. That means 42%. What about urban areas? In towns and cities, people have more educational opportunities, schools, colleges, and skill training. Many prefer to study longer before joining the workforce. Urban people also have varied job options, so they often wait for a suitable job that matches their qualification. Hence, fewer people are immediately working, which makes the WPR lower. That means 34% in urban areas. So, what does it mean? So the difference in participation shows the contrast in lifestyle and opportunities. Rural people work more out of necessity, and urban people work more by choice and qualification. In short, the worker population ratio gives us a clear picture of how actively people participate in work and also reflect the economic difference between rural and urban India. Next, we will see how this participation differs between men and women across different or these areas. Okay, now let's look at how men and women participate differently in workforce. We just saw the rural people work more than urban people, but now let's see how gender affects employment. Who works more? In India, more males are found to be working than females. More males are found to be working. This difference is visible everywhere, but it's much larger in urban areas. Let's see the number. In urban areas, for every 100 women, only 14 are working. In rural areas, for every 100 women, around 30 are working. So, rural women participate more in work compared to urban women. Why are fewer women working? There are several social and economic reasons behind this difference. What are they? Yes, family income factor. In families where men earn well, the family often discourages women from working. The idea is we earn enough so women don't need to work. This is especially true in urban middle class families. So family income is a factor, and also social attitude. That means in some areas there are traditional beliefs that women should stay at home and take care of the family. Work outside is often seen as a man's responsibility. Then what's the next factor? Is type of work available. Rural women often help in farms, collect firewood, or work as laborers even if they don't get paid properly. In urban areas, jobs usually require formal education or skills, so women find it harder to get suitable work. And the next factor is household responsibilities. That means many women spend most of their time on household chores, childcare and cooking. Even though this is real work, it is not counted as economic activity. So in statistics, such women are shown as not working even though they are very busy all day. So what does this tell us? This shows that women's contribution to the economy is underestimated, and there is a need to recognize and support women's work, both paid and unpaid. So we can see that even though women, especially in rural areas, work very hard, their participation rates look low because much of their work goes unrecorded or unpaid. So in our next chapter, we will learn about how workers are distributed across sectors. That means which areas of the economy employ more people. So therefore, let's read it. Compared to females, more males are found to be working. The difference in participation rates is very large in urban areas. For every 100 urban females, only 14% are engaged in some economic activities. In rural areas, for every 100 rural women, about 30 participate in the employment market. Why are women in general and urban women in particular not working? It is common to find that where men are able to earn high income, families discourage female members from taking jobs. Going back to what has already been mentioned above, many activities for the household engaged in by women are not recognized as productive work. This narrow definition of work leads to non-recognition of women's work and therefore to the underestimation of the number of women workers in the country. Think of the women actively engaged in many activities within this house and at family farms who are not paid for such work. as they certainly contribute to the maintenance of the household and farms. Do you think that their number should be added to the number of women workers? Okay, so we will continue this topic in the next class from where we stopped today. Thanks for watching. For more related contents, do like, share and subscribe.